Hey everyone, this is Real Life, Real Talk. This is our first episode, so thank you so much for listening. I'm Summer.
I'm Dee.
I'm Marissa.
And I'm Kayla.
And we just had this idea today for our first episode to share what inspired us to create this podcast to begin with. And we really just hope to inspire and bring people really closer to God at the end of the day, and to just show people, like, you know, real life is hard. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of obstacles. But with God, there's also a graceful way through.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start with just us becoming friends. It was kind of random, honestly. We all started going to the same church and just kind of connected and became friends. Not super close in the beginning. Obviously, you have to get to know people. And this all kind of really started when we decided to go to Spokane for New Year's. And we stayed at my brother's Airbnb down there and spent the night
Out on the town.
down Spokane.
We went to go see fireworks, and we got coffee because we thought we had time for coffee. And it turns out we did not have time for coffee because we were in the line and the fireworks were going off, and we're running with our coffees out to go to the main street because the buildings were too tall to see them. And anyways, we get out, and like literally the exact time that we're getting out on the street, they stop.
It was like maybe 5-minute show, which honestly is kind of lame for Spokane. Like, do better.
We were very disappointed by not seeing these fireworks because that's kind of the reason we went down there.
Yeah, but like what was so cool about that experience was then we thought, okay, well, let's go drink a mocktail in a nice restaurant around here. Excuse me. And it was that conversation at that restaurant table where we realized, oh, there's a calling for all of us to start this podcast. And so I'll just speak a little bit into that. So for me, my name is Dee. I had a podcast about 4 years ago. And it was a totally just different area of my life, and different era of my life. And I ended up deleting that podcast because it just wasn't who I was anymore. So anyways, I did feel a calling from God last year to start one again. And then I remember talking to Summer on the phone one night, and she says to me, you know, like, I've just really been thinking about this, and I feel like God is telling me to do this. Do you want to start a YouTube channel or something? And I thought, yes. I was like, God has been calling me to do this. So with that, I want to say that was maybe like October or November, sometime around there.
Yeah, and also at the same time, I had a lady from the church reach out to me and say that she felt like she wanted to start a podcast, and for some reason she saw me in that vision. Right. And so when she heard that we were doing this, she was just so stoked. She reached out to me. She's like, I'm so happy. Like, it maybe she isn't involved, but yeah, she was super, super happy to see that we were doing this. Yeah.
So that's just like one part of the story, right? There were, I think, just a variety of people that God had brought together. It was like all the puzzle pieces just came together of why we should be doing this podcast. And that night when we sat down at that table, you and I, Summer, had brought up that we're going to start this podcast. And then all of a sudden Kayla goes, oh, there was a vision about the podcast.
Yeah, because earlier that year, someone had come up to me and was like, hey, I saw this vision and I'm not really sure, what to do with it, but I saw you on a podcast and you were like kind of the host of this podcast. And I was like, that's cool, but like, I'm not going to do that by myself. Like, I'll just keep it with me and maybe God will do something with it. I was like, that's cool though. And then, so I'd kind of just been pondering that. I almost forgotten about it until you guys were talking about this podcast. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What's your vision for this podcast? And then it turned out to be the same vision, which is really cool and definitely a God thing for sure. And then we kind of just started planning from there. We got super excited about it. We were talking about it and then, kicked off the new year with this really cool idea.
Yeah. And it's 6 months later.
Yeah, it is.
It took a lot to get here. There were a lot of challenges, like a lot of pushback, I would say. And just a lot of things that we had to wrestle through and talk through and communicate through. and just ways that we had to grow to even be sitting here in the studio with each other right now.
Yeah, there was definitely some more difficult conversations we had to have, but there was also the encouraging conversations that came along with those, and so much support from those people around us. I mean, more than I could have ever imagined there would be. And yeah, so that's been incredible to just see how many people are supporting us in the background.
Yeah, so true.
And I think that each one of us just has such a different testimony, such a different upbringing and life experience. And there's so, like, that's why God really brought this together, you know, because there's just such a difference between all of us, yet we know the same God, we love the same God, and he's blessed us in all the same ways, regardless of our past, regardless of what we've done, where we've been, you know, and that's just the beauty of it.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a really cool thing because we can each bring such a different perspective to it, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. And
Yeah, it was like every time we were getting together, we were just having these deep, like, intellectual conversations with one another, and just kind of all relating back to God and how he's there for us. And through, like, we're all kind of in the same similar seasons in life, you know? And so we're like, we need to be recording this because we just feel that, you know, there's other people that need to hear what we're speaking on, because it can feel so isolating. You can feel so alone, and it just feels heavy. But just knowing that there's other people going through the same things, and you're not alone, and yeah, God has your back, and you can always rely on him and on that. So yeah.
Okay, so I have a question then, and anybody can really answer this, but what would you say one struggle has been for you recently, and in the ways that God has kind of gotten you through that?
That's a really good question. I feel like for me, it's just been like conflict in different ways. Just, I don't even really know how to explain it. Just like butting heads with people or hearing things about yourself that you don't really like. And I just feel like for me, the biggest thing has been just trusting God and actually submitting it to him and fully giving it to him. And that's when I find the peace. And like, I'm a people pleaser type of person and I want everybody to be happy. But he's teaching me like, that doesn't have to be that, like, you don't have to fix it all. And so I have to like fully surrender it to him. And then I have that peace.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I've stepped into, different things. I recently quit my job and started a new job, and that was like very nerve-wracking, because it's a job with less pay and it doesn't really make sense maybe to other people. And I also have a passion for photography, so stepping into that was like a big leap, but I knew that I had to do it, and I knew that God is going to provide for me. Like, he's placing these things in my heart for a reason. And I would rather do that sooner than later and take that leap. But yeah, it's like Dee said earlier, like, it's, you know, believing in God, like knowing God, it doesn't make life easier. But it is just so, I guess, freeing, or just more grace. Like, just, it's definitely better, because you know that you're not alone and he has your back. And I think about it, and I think how in these 24 years of life, like, I've always had food, I've always had a bed to sleep in, like, I've been very blessed, and I'm not just gonna, you know, things aren't just gonna fall apart. Like, maybe they might get a little rocky or whatever, but like, he's always going to provide for me, and he's been so amazing. And he wants to bless me, but I have to listen to him. And so yeah, it's a little bit growing pains, but yeah, it's definitely strengthened my relationship with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that verse, you know, where it says, like, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And coming from somebody who, like you said, you know, 24 years for me, I found Jesus in 2023. So that was like 27 years of my life that I just went without him. And the burden of life, man, it's hard. It's hard. And you try to do things your own way and you just get yourself into more trouble and more chaos and more anxiety. But with him, it's like, you know, life isn't any easier. And in fact, I think life is a little bit harder because now you have conviction. Now you're hearing from him. You know right from wrong. Whereas before you didn't know. But with him, it's like, oh, there's a way out now. Like, I don't have to go through this on my own. This doesn't have to be a weight on my shoulders anymore. Man, if I just knew that, like, do you know how much trouble I would have saved myself? And, you know, I don't regret any of it because for sure, obviously, I'm here now recording this podcast episode, being able to speak on this. But it's just so eye-opening and a reminder of how important it is to follow God and trust God and to really surrender to him.
Yeah. I'd say for me, I mean, I've always taken a background role in most things that I do. But this past year and a bit since starting our girls group and now the podcast here, it's been more, I'm at the forefront, which is out of my comfort zone. But that has also shown me that I do need to rely on God and like Kayla said, fully surrender that. And I think just digging more into the Bible and relying on his power rather than my own and letting him speak through me because I mean I don't have the words, he has the words, so that's probably been the biggest thing that he's been working through me right now. But not saying that's any easier. I'm sure it'll be a process for a while, but it's a learning curve.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful that like we all are, you know, on our own paths, but we can relate with one another and, you know, support one another. And yeah, it's very comforting knowing because before you guys, it was like I was just kind of doing my own thing, like,
I know, so
you know, I was really, I prayed into that so much, like for like Christian, like good quality, high quality, like Christian friends, like just
it's great to have the support of your friends around you.
It's true. And I hope that this podcast can kind of be that for some other people too, like the people that do feel alone. We are here and we're dealing with a lot of the same things that you are, and you're not alone, even though we're not like your friends maybe personally, but you know,
we hope we can share some wisdom with you. At least the wisdom we have.
Okay, I'll share something really quickly that I would say like one of the biggest struggles for me recently, and just seeing God's goodness all over it and just realizing like how real mental illness is and how much it can truly affect someone. And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not, these things still happen. Even to the godliest of people, they still go through these things, you know? And I think, and just kind of reflecting back to my own experience as being a non-believer, you kind of look at Christians as like, okay, you're off your rocker, like you guys are insane, I get it, life is so good, life is so perfect, you have this God, right? But like it's not like that. And just really recognizing lately that mental illness is very, very, very real. And I truly believe that there's a spiritual world that we can't see that is definitely at force behind the scenes. And just seeing how much people can really, you know, struggle with just a lot of demonic things. I don't really know how else to say that. And just recognizing through that, though, that God is still there and God loves us. And we might struggle, but at the end of the day, we have such a good God to go to who can just take that from us. And so I would say that's one of the biggest things you know, just how do I trust him more? I need to trust him more. I can't not trust him, because if I try to take on the the battles of everyday life on my own. It's a disaster. But with him, it's like, oh, I can sleep, I can rest. You're here. I trust that you've got this, because your ways are not my ways and your thoughts are not my thoughts, and I find peace in that. But something else that I'm realizing through all of this is, even in the midst of the darkness, even in the midst of the chaos, there is still so much to be grateful for. And there's so many blessings that God brings us on a daily basis that I think sometimes we don't recognize. But if we were to intentionally recognize them, it can make life and life's challenges just so much easier.
I agree. There's often mornings where I wake up and I hear my alarm, and instantly in my head I'm like, oh, I have to do this and this and this and this and this. And I just try to stop myself and be like, stop. Like, you woke up this morning. Like, you get to cook yourself a healthy breakfast. It's all in your hands. Like, you can go for a walk in nature. You can read the Bible. Like, you can connect to God. And I really notice, like, the days where it's more natural. Like, I'm waking up, I'm eating a healthy breakfast, going for a walk, and just spending time in the Word and more relaxed. It sets the tone for the day, like, so much better. But sometimes when I try to structure it and be like super productive and be like, okay, I'm gonna do all these chores and whatever, then God kind of just gets pushed to the side. And it just shows again and again, like, every single day that I'm not in the Word, there's always, things that, like, more anxiety and more just noise. And so I found that that's really helpful, just being very intentional about that.
Totally. Just like slowing down and actually appreciating where you're at and what you're actually doing instead of just rushing through it.
Yeah.
And I think what you said about, like, going for a walk and being out in nature is actually so good, because God created nature, and obviously he created it for a reason. I think we should be out in nature more often. Whenever I go out, and just, even if I'm just sitting outside or in a field or something, or watching the sunset, whatever it is, I always feel so much more connected to God when I'm just in his presence, in his nature.
Yeah.
Like, I went on a road trip a couple years ago, and most of the time I didn't have service, so I wasn't on my phone, and it was really great to just be able to just be and not have to worry about who's texting me, or social media stuff is going on, and just be able to slow down and actually be with him. Like, it was crazy. My mind was, like, so clear. I was writing songs and I was reading the Word all the time, and it was an incredible experience. So I highly recommend going outside in nature more and touching some grass.
Yeah. Like, really, it is such a good way to connect with him. And, like, again, it's just that gratitude piece, right? Like, what are the little things during the day that I can find gratitude for? And during the middle of the anxiety, because let's face it, we all have anxiety these days, and it can be overwhelming if you're not focusing on the right things. And I'll just, like, give an example, with this cleaning company that I own. It is so overwhelming. It is so anxiety provoking, and there will be days where, like, I just let it bring me down, because it's like, oh, I gotta hire this person and that, oh, but then this person, oh, but then I have a complaint here, and it's just on top of therapy, it's a lot. And so there are definite times where I find myself just, like, anxious, and I'm rushing, and I'm just, like, hating it, to be honest. But then there's other days where I wake up, and the first thing, before I even look at my phone, read the Word, go pray to God, and don't
it's
just
so
like
important.
Do it on like in a way that's like, I have to do this, but in a way that's like, I get to do this, like, I'm excited to do this, because when you pray from that place, you really feel the Spirit moving. And when you feel like his holiness in the morning, it continues on with you. And then I can find myself, oh, contractor quit, oh, getting a complaint here, okay, that's fine, I'm still grateful, because look at what you've done with this business.
And like, praying seems like a big deal, you have to, like, say it right and say all the right things, but it's actually, you're just talking to God. And when I was a kid, I would always just talk to God all the time. It's just what I did. And I kind of lost that for quite a while. But more recently, it's come back just like in the little things. And I'll just be like, oh, I'm struggling with this right now. And I'm just talking to him as if he's my friend, because he is. And it's so special to have that we can just talk to him whenever. And it's a prayer. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Like, you're just talking to your friend.
Yeah. When I'm driving in my car, that is like, if there's people passing me, they're probably thinking that I'm whack, because I talk to him so much. And like, worship music too, like in the car, anywhere really, but like, it's just I feel his spirit like often, and it's just like definitely when I'm driving to work, it makes the day much more enjoyable or bearable.
Yeah, it's so true. It like, okay, so the other day I don't know why I was having a bad day, but I was having a bad day. And so part of my morning is like, okay, let's put God first. But sometimes I feel like it's a structure, right? And I don't want it to be like that. Like, I want to just be like, I love you so much that like I get to do this, right? And so anyways, I had tried to pray, and it just like wasn't coming out. And I started to get frustrated. So I just said to God, I said, sorry, God, I'm just not doing this today. And he says, that's okay. We have those days. And it like, just hearing that from him was like, oh, like, I don't know if I've technically been doing this like correct. Like, I haven't been doing this authentically. I've been doing it with structure and order. And although that's important, I'm not saying it's not, those spiritual disciplines, you need self-discipline in that area. But you should also, like, have excitement about this, like, want to do that. And anyways, when he said that to me, I was like, oh.
And that's what God wants. He wants your real, like, raw, authentic self. Like, it's like, hey, God, like, I really messed up in this area, and I knew you were telling me to not do this thing, and I still did this thing. And I'm sorry. Like, I'm really sorry. And and he's not, like, he wants you to come to him. Because, he's like a father. Like, he wants you to confess what you're guilty for. And he wants you to run to him. He doesn't want you to, not speak to him and just feel all this guilt and, more distance between you and him. He wants you to come to him.
Yeah, and like, I don't know how spiritual we want to get on this first episode, but you know what, real life, real talk, like, the spiritual world is very, very real. And I think the enemy doesn't want us to be praying to God, and so he will make us feel shame and guilt, like, haha, you could be doing better, look at you, right? But God is saying, no, like, in me there is no condemnation, come, right? And there's been weeks where, like, I've just felt so much shame and guilt for not, quote unquote, being in that perfect relationship with him, right? Where I just won't even pray. But it's like the second that I go back, his arms are wide open. Totally. He's right there just waiting.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, through the good and the bad, right? It's so easy to feel that shame and just like avoid him. Like, you'll think about praying and then you're like, no, I can't, like, you're gonna judge me. It's like, no, like, he wants you to talk to him. He knows anyways, so why does it matter?
Right. And like, do you notice, like, when you have that feeling where you're like, no, there's so much shame and guilt, like, I haven't talked to you in 3 days, so I'm just gonna keep not talking to you, and then as soon as you do talk to him, you just feel like, oh, like, you do still love me, like, you're still here, why didn't I just do this? Because I already feel so much better.
It's so true.
So tonight, I just really want to encourage everybody who is listening to this podcast episode that through the fire, through the chaos, through the darkness, there is a different way. And there is a God who loves you, loves all of us so much. And, there's a way to have the stresses of life taken off your shoulders, even just a little bit. And so we just really thank you all for listening to our first episode. We're really excited to be here doing this, even though it's a little bit intimidating. And we really do hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been Real Life, Real Talk. Bye.